Pathetic people like you don't deserve credit anyway. My sister Melinda laughed, her voice echoing off the glass walls of her Denver office. I sat there in the chair I'd helped her pick out 3 years ago, staring at the woman who had just fired me from the company I'd built from the ground up. The irony wasn't lost on me. Even the motivational quotes framed behind her desk were ones I'd designed and printed. My name is Tessa Franklin, and for 14 years, I've been the invisible force behind my sister's real estate empire. At 43, I'm a graphic designer and marketing strategist who foolishly believed that family meant partnership. Every logo, every website, every sales funnel that made Melinda's company successful came from my hands, my creativity, my sleepless nights. I never charged her a penny because she always called it our future. But sitting in that sterile office, watching her smirk while her best friend Chelsea York lounged in the corner scrolling through Instagram, I realized there was no our anymore. There probably never had been. "You're out," Melinda had said just moments before, not even bothering to look up from her oversized mahogany desk. Chelsea brings a younger energy to the brand. Fresh perspective, you know? I looked at Chelsea, a 26-year-old influencer whose biggest professional accomplishment was getting 50,000 followers by posting workout videos in designer athletic wear. Her resume consisted of sponsored posts for protein powder and teeth whitening kits. This was who Melinda thought could replace 14 years of my expertise. "What about everything I've built here?" I asked, my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. "You should be grateful I let you help," Melinda replied, finally meeting my eyes with that cold stare I'd seen her use on difficult clients. Most sisters wouldn't have been so generous. The word generous hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Generous. For 14 years of free work, for building her entire digital presence, for creating the brand identity that made her millions, for designing every marketing campaign that brought in her biggest clients. Chelsea giggled from her corner. "Don't worry, Tessa. I'm sure you'll find something. Maybe try Fiverr?" That's when something inside me shifted. Not anger. Something colder. Something more calculating. I stood up slowly, gathering my purse and the single notebook I'd brought to what I thought was going to be a strategy meeting. "You're right," I said, walking toward the door. I should be grateful. Neither of them caught the edge in my voice. They were too busy celebrating their brilliant business decision to notice that I hadn't said I was grateful, just that I should be. Growing up, Melinda had always been the golden child. 3 years younger than me, she possessed the kind of effortless charm that made teachers overlook her missing homework and parents excuse her broken curfews. I was the responsible one, the one who cleaned up her messes and helped her study for tests she hadn't prepared for. When she announced she wanted to start a real estate business 8 years ago, I was working as a freelance graphic designer, struggling to build my own client base in Denver's competitive market. Melinda had just gotten her real estate license and needed help with just a few small things. A logo, maybe a simple website. "Think of it as an investment in our family's future," she'd said over dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant downtown. "Once the business takes off, we'll be partners. 50-50 split on everything." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was my sister, and despite her flaws, I thought our bond meant something. So I designed her logo, an elegant script with subtle mountain silhouettes that perfectly captured Denver's real estate market. Then came the website, clean and professional with custom photography I'd arranged and edited. Then the business cards, brochures, social media templates. "Just one more thing," became Melinda's favorite phrase. "One more marketing campaign. One more client presentation. One more complete rebrand," when she decided to expand into luxury properties. Our parents praised her business acumen constantly. "Melinda's such a natural entrepreneur," they'd say at family dinners. "She's built something incredible from nothing." From nothing. As if the hundreds of hours I'd poured into her success were nothing. But I kept working, kept believing in that future she promised. When she bought her first office, I helped her choose the furniture and designed the interior graphics. When she hired her first employee, I created the training materials and employee handbook. When she won Realtor of the Year 3 years running, I designed the marketing materials that announced it to the world. I watched her grow from selling starter homes to dealing exclusively with multi-million-dollar properties. Her client list read like a who's who of Denver's elite: tech executives, professional athletes, entertainment industry moguls. The commissions were enormous, and the success should have been ours to share. Instead, I remained the invisible sister. At industry events, she'd introduce me as my sister who helps out with some design stuff. If clients complimented the marketing materials, she'd smile and accept the praise without mentioning my name. When other realtors asked about her secret to such polished branding, she'd talk about her natural eye for design. The promises of partnership had faded into vague mentions of someday and when things settle down. But things never settled down. They only grew bigger, more successful, more profitable. And I remained exactly where I'd started, working for free, building someone else's empire. The first crack in my faith appeared 6 months ago during our quarterly review meeting. I'd spent 3 weeks developing a comprehensive digital marketing strategy that would have expanded Melinda's reach into the commercial real estate sector. The presentation was flawless: detailed market analysis, projected ROI, implementation timeline, budget allocations. "This is impressive work," Melinda had said, flipping through the bound presentation I'd printed and assembled myself. "Really impressive." I felt a surge of hope. Maybe this would finally be the moment she acknowledged my contributions properly. Maybe this would be when she brought up the partnership we'd discussed for years. Instead, she closed the folder and slid it across the desk toward me. "I'm going to hold off on this for now. Chelsea's been giving me some ideas about social media marketing that might be more our speed." Chelsea had been hanging around the office more frequently, offering unsolicited advice about authentic engagement and influencer partnerships. Her suggestions usually involved hiring her friends to post about properties in exchange for free clothing or restaurant gift cards. "Melinda," I said carefully, "commercial real estate could increase your annual revenue by 40%. Chelsea's ideas are fine for residential social media, but they won't work for attracting serious commercial investors." "I appreciate your input," she replied in the tone she used with overeager clients, "but I think I know my business better than anyone." My business. Not our business anymore. That same week, I discovered she'd implemented one of my campaign ideas without credit, presenting it to a major client as her own innovative strategy. When I confronted her about it, she laughed it off. "Come on, Tessa, we're family. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine, right?" Except it only worked one way. My ideas became hers, but her profits never became mine. The second crack appeared when she hired a new assistant and offered her a starting salary that was more than I'd earned in the past 2 years of freelance work combined. When I mentioned this seemed unfair, given my contribution to the company's success, Melinda's response was swift and cold. "You choose to work for free. That's not my problem." Choose. As if I hadn't been promised partnership. As if 14 years of building her empire wasn't worth compensation. The final crack became a complete break 3 weeks ago when I overheard her on a phone call with a potential investor. She was describing her company's proprietary marketing strategies and innovative branding approach that set her apart from other real estate firms. Every strategy she described was mine. Every innovative approach had come from my research, my creativity, my expertise. She was selling my work as her unique vision, and she was commanding premium prices for it. That's when I realized the truth I'd been avoiding for years. Melinda had never intended to make me a partner. I wasn't her business collaborator. I was her free labor source, and she planned to keep it that way forever. The morning Melinda called me into her office to fire me, I'd actually prepared a proposal for expanding our services into property management. I'd spent the previous weekend researching market opportunities, creating financial projections, and designing a complete branding package for the new division. It represented 60 hours of work, that could have generated an additional $200,000 in annual revenue. I walked into her office with that proposal in hand, ready to present what I thought could be our biggest opportunity yet. Instead, I found Chelsea lounging in the client chair, her phone propped up against a coffee mug as she recorded herself applying lip gloss. "Perfect timing," Melinda said without looking up from her computer. "I was just telling Chelsea about the changes we're implementing." The way she said "we" made my stomach tighten. There had never been a "we" that included anyone but Melinda and me, and even that had been mostly theoretical. "What kind of changes?" I asked, settling into the other chair and placing my proposal folder on my lap. Chelsea giggled and pointed her phone camera at me. Should I include her in my story? It might be cute, like a before and after thing. "Chelsea's going to be taking over all our marketing and branding initiatives," Melinda announced, still typing. "She's got fresh ideas and a better understanding of what modern clients want." The words hit me like cold water. I glanced at Chelsea, who was now applying highlighter while holding her phone at arm's length. Her understanding of modern clients came entirely from sponsored Instagram posts and TikTok trends. "Melinda," I said slowly, "she doesn't have any experience in real estate marketing, or any kind of professional marketing." "She has 200,000 followers," Melinda replied, as if that settled the matter. "Influence is the new marketing." I thought about the sophisticated lead generation systems I'd built, the targeted advertising campaigns that had brought in their highest value clients, the brand identity that commanded premium prices in Denver's competitive market. All of it reduced to Instagram followers. "What about the property management expansion?" I asked, holding up my proposal. "I've worked out all the details. We could launch within 3 months. "We?" Melinda finally looked at me, and her expression was colder than I'd ever seen it. "There is no we, Tessa. There never really was." The proposal folder suddenly felt heavy in my hands. 14 years of collaboration, partnership promises, and family loyalty condensed into one brutal sentence. Chelsea lowered her phone and gave me a sympathetic look that was probably meant to be kind but felt condescending. "Don't take it personally. Business is business, you know." Business is business. From someone whose business experience consisted of unboxing packages on camera. "So what exactly are you saying?" I asked, though I already knew. "I'm saying your services are no longer needed," Melinda said, turning back to her computer. "Chelsea will be handling everything moving forward. She's already got some amazing ideas for rebranding." "Rebranding?" The word came out sharper than I intended. "You want to rebrand the company I built?" "You didn't build this company," Melinda snapped. "You designed some logos and made some websites. I built this business through relationships, sales skills, and market knowledge. Don't confuse doing a few favors with being a business partner." A few favors. 14 years of creating every piece of marketing material, every client presentation, every digital asset that made her company successful, reduced to a few favors. "You're right," I said, standing up. I was confused. Something in my tone made Melinda look up again, but I was already moving toward the door. "Oh, and Tessa?" she called after me. "I'll need you to send over all the login information for the website and social media accounts. Chelsea will need access to everything." I paused at the door. "Of course. I'll make sure she gets everything she needs." Neither of them heard the edge in my voice. They were too busy discussing color schemes and aesthetic vibes to notice that I hadn't actually agreed to hand over anything. Walking out of Melinda's office, I felt strangely calm. The betrayal hurt, but it was overshadowed by a crystal-clear realization. I had more power in this situation than either of them understood. For 14 years, I'd been meticulous about protecting my work. Every logo, every website design, every marketing campaign I'd created remained under my copyright. The contracts we'd never formally signed worked in my favor. Without explicit transfer agreements, all intellectual property belonged to the creator. That was me. More importantly, Melinda had never bothered to understand the technical side of her business. She didn't know that I owned the primary domain registration, controlled the hosting account, and held administrative access to every digital platform her business relied on. Why would she? I'd always handled the computer stuff, while she focused on real business. I drove home to my downtown apartment, the proposal folder still sitting on my passenger seat like a monument to wasted effort. But instead of throwing it away, I filed it carefully in my home office. That research would be useful, just not for Melinda's benefit. My phone buzzed with a text from Chelsea. "Hey, super excited to work with your designs. Can you send passwords ASAP? Want to start making changes today?" The emoji enthusiasm made my eye twitch. I set the phone aside without responding. Over the next few hours, I made a systematic inventory of everything I'd built for Melinda's company. The main website, built on my hosting account with my administrative credentials. The customer relationship management system I'd researched, purchased, and configured. The email marketing platform with 14 years of client data and automated campaigns. The social media accounts I'd created and managed. The cloud storage system containing every client presentation, marketing template, and brand asset. All of it traced back to accounts I owned and controlled. I opened my laptop and began documenting everything methodically. Screenshots of account ownership, copies of original design files, records of domain registrations, all time-stamped and organized. If this became a legal matter, I wanted comprehensive evidence. Around 6 p.m., my phone rang. Melinda. "Tessa, Chelsea's having trouble accessing the website backend. She needs the admin login." "I'm sure she can figure it out," I replied. "She's got all those fresh ideas, right?" "Don't be difficult. Just send her the information." "Actually, Melinda, I've been thinking about what you said today, about how I've been confused about my role in the business." Silence on the other end. "You're absolutely right. I was confused. I thought we were partners working toward a shared future. But you've clarified that I was just someone doing favors." "Tessa. So I've decided to stop being confused. No more favors." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm reclaiming ownership of my work. All of it." Another long silence. "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious. Every piece of intellectual property I created for your company remains my legal property. The website, the branding, the marketing systems, all of it was created under my copyright." "That's ridiculous. You can't just..." "I can, and I am. You said business is business, right? This is business." I hung up before she could respond. Within an hour, Chelsea had texted me 6 times, each message more frantic than the last. Then Melinda called again, then texted, then called from the office number. I ignored them all. Instead, I opened my laptop and began the process I'd been unconsciously preparing for, since the moment Melinda dismissed 14 years of my work as a few favors. It was time to show her exactly what those favors were worth. Friday evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and a cup of coffee growing cold beside me. Outside my windows, Denver's downtown lights twinkled like a circuit board, and I felt oddly peaceful for someone about to dismantle a business empire. I started with the website. The entire Franklin Realty site was hosted on my personal hosting account, something I'd set up years ago when Melinda was just starting out and couldn't afford business-level hosting. I'd maintained it ever since, upgrading the service as her business grew, paying the bills from my own credit card and never asking for reimbursement because it was supposed to be our investment. With a few clicks, I revoked administrative access for everyone except myself. Then I set the site to private, displaying only a simple message. "Site under maintenance. Please check back soon." Next came the email system. Melinda's entire client communication platform ran through a professional email service I'd researched and configured. Every automated follow-up sequence, every client newsletter, every lead nurturing campaign, all of it flowed through systems I'd built and managed. I suspended the account. The customer relationship management platform was next. 14 years of client data, Sales pipelines and automated workflows disappeared behind a login screen that only I could access. Then the social media management tools, the automated posting schedules, the advertising accounts with their carefully crafted campaigns and optimized targeting. One by one, I reclaimed control of every digital asset I'd created. My phone buzzed constantly with increasingly desperate messages from both Melinda and Chelsea. I let them go to voicemail while I worked systematically through my list. The final step was the most important, backing up everything valuable and then changing the passwords on every account. Not out of spite, but because these were my creations, my intellectual property, and I had every legal right to protect them. Around 11 p.m., I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Tessa, this is David Chen from Franklin Realty." I recognized the voice of Melinda's top-performing agent. "I'm sorry to bother you so late, but we've got a major problem. None of our systems are working. The website's down, emails are bouncing, and I've got clients trying to schedule showings who can't reach us. Have you talked to Melinda about this? I've been trying to reach her for hours. She's not answering her phone. Look, I don't know what's going on between you two, but I've got a $2 million deal that's supposed to close Monday morning. My clients are panicking because they can't access the virtual tour or property documents." I felt a twinge of sympathy for David. He was a good agent who'd always treated me respectfully. But his problem wasn't with me. "David, I'm no longer affiliated with Franklin Realty. You'll need to work with Melinda and Chelsea to resolve any technical issues." "Chelsea? The Instagram girl? Tessa, she doesn't know anything about our systems. We need you." "Then you should discuss that with Melinda. She made her position very clear today." After I hung up, I sat back and considered what I'd done. Some might call it revenge, but it felt more like reclamation. For 14 years, I'd built something valuable and given it away freely in exchange for promises that were never fulfilled. Now I was simply taking back what had always been mine. My phone rang again. This time it was Melinda, and this time I answered. "Tessa, what the hell have you done?" I stopped being confused. I replied calmly. "You wanted fresh ideas and younger energy. Figure it out. You can't destroy my business like this." "I'm not destroying anything. I'm just no longer maintaining it for free." By Monday morning, Franklin Realty was in complete chaos. The phone calls started early. Panicked agents, confused clients, angry contractors who couldn't access project documents. Melinda's carefully constructed empire was crumbling in real time. I learned about the fallout from multiple sources. David sent me a text around 8 a.m. 3 agents quit this morning. Clients are threatening to sue. Whatever happened, this is bad. Social media told the rest of the story. Chelsea had managed to post a cheerful, "new week, new energy" message on her personal Instagram, but Franklin Realty's accounts remained silent. The company's professional image, built over 14 years, had vanished overnight. Around noon, my phone rang. It was Harrison Miller, one of Denver's most prominent real estate attorneys, and a client I'd worked with on several high-end marketing campaigns. "Tessa, I heard about the situation with Franklin Realty. I'm representing 3 of their former clients who are considering legal action over failed closings, but I'm calling because I have a proposition for you." He explained that several of Melinda's former agents were looking to join new firms, but wanted to work with someone who understood luxury real estate marketing. They'd specifically asked for me. "I'm expanding my real estate division," Harrison continued. "I need someone who can handle sophisticated branding and marketing for high-net-worth clients. Interested?" 3 hours later, I was sitting in Harrison's downtown office, signing a contract as Director of Marketing for Miller & Associates Real Estate. The salary was triple what I'd been making as a freelancer, plus profit sharing and full creative control over all marketing initiatives. By 4 p.m., I'd received calls from 2 other real estate firms and a luxury property development company. Word was spreading quickly through Denver's tight-knit real estate community. Tessa Franklin was available, and everyone knew she was the creative force behind Franklin Realty's success. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Chelsea. Melinda told me to ask if you'll come back. She says she'll pay you this time. I deleted the message without responding. 3 weeks later, I was settling into my new office at Miller & Associates when Harrison knocked on my doorframe. "Have you seen this?" He handed me a printed email. It was a press release announcing that Franklin Realty was rebranding as Elite Denver Properties under new management. I read through the announcement with interest. Melinda was listed as founding partner, but the CEO position had been given to someone named Robert Hayes, a veteran realtor I'd never heard of. Chelsea wasn't mentioned at all. "Word is that her investors forced the management change," Harrison explained. Apparently, losing 30% of their agent roster in 2 weeks was the final straw. That afternoon, I received a certified letter from Melinda's attorney demanding the return of proprietary business assets and confidential information. I forwarded it to my own lawyer, who responded with a detailed explanation of intellectual property law and copyright ownership. Within a week, that legal posturing dissolved into silence. Meanwhile, my new career was flourishing. The marketing campaigns I developed for Miller & Associates generated a 40% increase in qualified leads within the first month. 3 of Melinda's former top-performing agents had joined our firm, bringing their client relationships and first-hand knowledge of what made my strategies so effective. The property management expansion I'd proposed to Melinda became reality at Miller & Associates. Within 6 months, we'd signed contracts to manage 4 high-end developments, generating additional revenue streams that exceeded my original projections. On a Thursday evening in November, I received a text from our youngest agent. "Just closed the Morrison Mansion for $4.2 million. Buyers said our virtual tour was the most impressive they'd ever seen. Thank you for making us look so professional." I smiled and filed the message with dozens of similar notes. It felt good to be appreciated. But more importantly, it felt good to build something that was truly mine. As I reflected on my journey from free labor to respected professional, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's success built on the foundation of your own worth and watching others finally understand what they threw away.